Hey guys, thanks for coming back. I just wanted to say I love you. It's been a tough year, but we are still here. And now, here's some love for our fellow podcast, today's lucky winner.
Congratulations, you're today's lucky winner. You're dead, but you've won a year back on Earth to do whatever you want. And I'll be your Grim Reaper chaperone.
Rita, why are you at my desk?
I'm talking to a lucky winner.
They aren't dead. I was going to tell them about the show.
The show where I helped my dead human friend Dawn prove that she was murdered?
Yeah.
The paranormal stoner comedy.
Yes, the scripted fiction show that's got fart jokes, sapphic romance, vampires, and acid trips.
Where would they find today's lucky winner?
On their favorite podcatcher app. Now get the out of my desk.
Guys, this next episode coming up is very informative, so please just sit back, relax, and absorb. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Behind. Today we have a very special guest, and I have to say probably the most dapper person that will ever be on this podcast. Brenden, he's a YouTuber, he is a public speaking coach, and honestly just has a great voice. So Brenden, could you go ahead and just give yourself a little red carpet intro?
For sure, Cindy. Thanks for having me, man. So yeah, my name's Brenden. I'm the founder of MasterTalk, which is a YouTube channel I started to help folks out with their communication skills. How I got started was really simple. I was in university, and I used to do these things called case competitions. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So other guys my age were, playing football or something I wasn't really equipped to do. I did a lot of presentations. That's what I did for fun, competitively. And how I channeled my competitive spirit. And then after I graduated from university and I started working in corporate America, I had the idea for MasterTalk because I realized that a lot of the communication information out there is really bad. You hear advice like, "Oh, yes, Sydney, you should get up on stage and be yourself." I was like, what are you supposed to do with this nonsense? So I started making videos in my mother's basement. One thing led to another, and the rest was history.
Can I just say that your mother's basement looks amazing?
Yeah, that is not my mother's basement. I meant the first couple of videos when I started.
but those videos, I think one, you've mastered not just the master talk, but you've mastered the ability of this short attention span society of doing these quick tips and easy ways to practice them. And you were talking about in one of your videos that this never really has been done on YouTube. And that's brilliant, man. You just found a niche, and it's your niche. You're carving the way for, if anyone else wanted to do this, you're the bar. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, man. And to be honest, even if I have this niche, I'm really happy with it. There's people, that I really much look up to. So I would say for me, the person I don't think I'll ever get to is probably Charisma on Command. And they've really mastered YouTube as an art form because they blend. So for those who don't know, Charisma on Command is a YouTube channel that helps people with their confidence. And what they do is they blend in pop culture. So they use famous actors and break them down. And I think that's really smart. So trust me, there's still a lot for me to learn as well, but I appreciate the kind words, man.
Man, that's awesome. You're so humble. I that's why I started this podcast, where I want to constantly be learning something new. And I figured the best way to do that instead of Google is to talk about people and their stories. And you have a great story. You reached out to me and I was like, man, public speaking, I don't have much to do with that. But this is public speaking. It's a podcast. If this isn't public speaking, I guess I don't know what is. But you did mention in your videos that when you were a kid, you wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And I think a lot of my listeners, including myself, I still want that, man. I'm 31 and I still have dreams. So
that's good. Don't lose them, man.
Have you thought about maybe still pursuing that? Because you're pretty witty in your videos, and it's not dry humor. I think you could definitely command an audience in that kind of a category. You still have plans to go for that?
Oh, it's a fun question. No one's asked me that before. But yeah, I would say the idea is I've thought of dabbling in stand-up comedian more just as to make myself a better YouTuber / communication guy. But I think what I realized at a young age is it's a dream that I said no to a long time ago because of the lifestyle of comedians. Like a lot of my heroes in that space are people like George Carlin, Russell
Mm-hmm.
Peters, and the like. But when I, especially in Russell's case or just other comedians, when I saw their lifestyles, I just didn't want that. I think it's really, I have a lot of respect for comedians, put it that way. It's really hard, especially when you're really good, to keep one upping your own jokes. I think it's just too stressful. So instead, what I said was, I'd probably be better off doing MasterTalk just because nobody's doing it in the world, and let the comedians do their thing. But I'm definitely going to dabble at some point later in life.
You can do the 2.0 where it's Master Giggle.
That's smart. I never thought of that. Dude, I gotta pay you for your consulting services, brother.
No, you get that. Everyone gets one for free. Tell him, Peter. um, you have this. I think it's your most popular video. It's the 5 master tips. It's master your silences, master your ums and ahs, master your audience, master your eye contact, and master posture. Um, I just did none. I'm gonna all day. That's just I'm so bad at it. My wife corrects me every time she listens to the podcast. It's very fun. But someone like me, I have ADHD, diagnosed and medicated, and I still have issues with it. I think public speaking is a great practice for people like me because it forces you to focus in. It forces you to talk about something that one hopefully you're passionate about, because talking about something you're dispassionate about is the most boring thing, and you don't want your audience boring. Knowing that, how would you recommend going about practicing public speaking for someone with ADD?
Oh, I love the specific questions. That's great. So let's simplify public speaking as much as possible. The first thing I would say is we need to understand, back to your point, Sydney, that you put out really well, is this idea that communication has nothing to do with presentations. It's every interaction you have in your life, right? The way that you talk to your spouse, the way that you talk on a podcast, the dinners you have with your friends, every conversation you have, whether it's the pizza delivery guy or it's the people that you talk to at a park, are all the same. That's what blends into how you speak. So the first question people need to ask themselves to even get them excited about communication is the following: how would the world change if you were an exceptional communicator? And that answer, Sydney, is going to be different for different people. Some people might say, well, I want to be a speaker and I want to speak on stages, or I'll be a podcast host like you. But other people might just say, I just want to make the relationships in my life better. If I could just be a clearer communicator, people will respect me more, they'll understand what I'm saying, my points will come better across, and I'll be able to share what I think and care about. We need to get clear on that step first. Ask yourself that question: how would the world change if you were an exceptional communicator? And I think you'll start that process to be a really good
Wow,
communicator
that's
yourself.
actually really profound. Just to not just make it a grand scale, but to kind of dumb it down to where you just deal with the person's relationship in their lives. And I never even thought about that. I mean, you could be practicing your master talk everywhere. Like you just said, the way I would talk to my wife, or the way I would talk to my friends over a video game, or the pizza guy. This is something that, I mean, this isn't taught in school. I went to a college and got my 4-year degree. In that, I had to take public speaking, and all that was just writing speeches and giving them. You never really got much further than that. And I think you are literally creating a curriculum that should start being adopted. So based on that, have you thought about maybe making like a textbook or some kind of workbook that can be adopted into the university scale?
For sure, man. Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about, my impact in the world and what gifts I can bring to the table. And I got lucky in the sense that I figured out what that gift was early in the game. So yeah, I'm in the process of creating that. I'm still testing out a couple of things. And just to build on that, just because you asked, what I recommend for people out there who have ideas worth sharing is try your best to make those ideas sustainable if it's possible. So let's say you're out there. I got lucky once again. My expertise just happens to be very profitable as well. So what I was, even if I don't make, I actually lose a lot of money on the YouTube channel. That's just more for impact. But since I make back clients and I get coaching services done, I'm able to break even on that and make the idea more sustainable. Same thing with the universities. It's very difficult to sell to
Right.
education. The reason is because a lot of it's bureaucracy. They don't want to change. Like I could literally, if somebody gave me the keys to the kingdom tomorrow, Sydney, I would teach the curriculum
Yeah.
for free. For free. I would do it for free. Like, because I know the steps, like, especially with elementary school, maybe not universities, but definitely like elementary public schools, in low income districts. I would do that all for free because I know the curriculum. It's super easy. I created it, but no one's going to let me do it, even if it was free. So the way that I think about it is I create separate programs for kids who want to jump the boat and always start with the people who have the income. So that way you make a living and then you can start creating programs for everyone else. So MasterTalk is a great example of that. At the end of the day, my core customer, Sydney, is not the person who can afford me. It's the person that
Mm.
can't. So because of that, I need to go up to the richer people, the people who have more money, more disposable income. So they pay for access to me. And then I can like directly to me, my own coaching and me coaching them personally. And then I use that income to then make better videos for people who can't afford a speech coach or ridiculously expensive. So the short answer to your question is it's definitely in the books. I think the key now is really to scale the YouTube channel, since that's the easiest way to get people the help that they need, and then start to go and hit every
You
university
heard it
one by
here,
one
folks. We
after
have a
that.
modern day public speaking Robin Hood. Okay.
I appreciate, so kind of you, man. You're so
Man,
kind. I really
I
appreciate
just
that.
have mad respect for you because you're just constantly putting yourself out there. I get to hide behind a screen. I mean, I do Twitch streams. I play video games. I do karaoke on there. It's a blast. But at the end of the day, I'm not in front of anybody. I'm hiding behind my computer screens, and it's beautiful.
No, no, no. No, no, no. You're downplaying yourself way too much. I don't agree with that. I really think it takes a lot of courage, especially from a fellow
Yes.
karaoke myself. I can karaoke in 8 different languages. So maybe you haven't seen that video yet, but check it out. I think it'll bring a smile to your face. That takes a lot of courage, dude. I think most people out there don't even post a video. They don't even get up on a. They don't even have a podcast. So I think you're definitely in the 1%. It's really about taking those wins and saying how big you want to take this for
No,
whatever you
man,
want in
that
your
you're
life.
just you said I'm kind. You are very kind. You are the most uplifting individual I think besides my wife on here that I've had. Um,
There you go. That's great,
so
man.
I kind of want to talk about the difference between public speaking of a topic you're kind of forced to talk about and something that you're passionate about. You and I think, are right now are very lucky that we don't have to worry about giving the work quarterly presentation. An example would be I used to have a job that required a random employee to give the presentation that week on the Monday morning safety meetings, and there was guys that just wouldn't show up because they just couldn't handle public speaking. And then there's the other side where the last episode, my wife was worried that she wasn't going to have enough material to talk about, and we ended up going for over an hour. And all it was, she just gave the story on how we met. She was so passionate about it that it became flawless. She was very articulate. I was impressed because now when anyone asks, "How did you guys meet?" I can just hand them the podcast and I don't we don't have to sit there for an hour.
That's
What other
hilarious.
practices of separating those two things could you help do? I think the passionate part, a lot of people, it just kind of clicks because our brains are finicky that way. But then when it comes to a dispassionate or something you're not super interested in, how would you go about practicing those compared to practicing your passion?
Absolutely, and it's a very sharp question. The way I think about it is that's something a lot of my clients, people around me struggle with is, Brenda, all the presentations I give are mandatory. I'm not talking about tomatoes. I'm talking about quarterly reports. And I've been there. I work at IBM as a consultant. So I give a lot of presentations of that nature. And my recommendation is always the following. You will never get better at public speaking in the boardroom. It'll never happen because your stress is too high. You're too worried for the presentation. You're preparing it the day before, and then you have to trash and move on to the next one. It is not the best environment for you to learn public speaking. My suggestion, and this is the easiest way of tackling it, Sydney, is say, okay, what is it that I actually care about presenting that I can do repetitively? What does that mean? I'll use you as an example. So you might have a day job, you might be working somewhere. You might or might not like that job. But then outside of work, you do things like this podcast. So my advice to you would be make a presentation on this podcast. What are you trying to achieve with this podcast? Who are you trying to inspire? Who's your ideal listener? Break that down in a presentation, and you can use that as promotional material to promote your own podcast in your local community. So let's say you're based in New York or LA or some other part of the US, or another part of, or another country, depending on your case. What you can do is you go to local universities, local meetups, Toastmaster clubs, you name it, clubs, and you just present this presentation. But the beauty of that specific presentation is you can do that same one forever. And that is the secret to public speaking. You do that one presentation, you can take the skills and bring them back into the boardroom. IBM didn't teach me how to be a great speaker. It was the case competitions I did before starting at work that were fun that I was able to bring back into my job.
Dude, narrowing it down to, man, you're so articulate. I'm not only flabbergasted on the information, just the way you give the information, clear, concise, and I notice in your videos, because public speaking for a lot of people is a nightmare, but in your videos you're smiling, you're so happy to be there, that you're going to reach people that most universities or public speaking classes aren't going to reach. What do you plan? Have you, so I know you said you do the private consulting, but those are people that are going to reach out to you. What do you think would be a key thing for people who might not be reaching out because they're kind of scared of it?
I feel like you're my business consultant. This is great. You're really nailing a lot of the questions I think about that I don't have the best answers to, but I'll definitely play along because I love this discussion. It's great. You're right. You're right. You know, when I started MasterTalk, one of the struggles, especially when I got started, and I wasn't really good on camera, to be honest, it was very difficult for me to create public speaking content in a way that people want to watch it. Because who the hell wants to wake up and watch public speaking YouTube videos, right? So over time, I figured out how to build a very strong persona on YouTube in a way that would attract the 5-year-old girl to watch my videos. That's what I'm always thinking about: is how do you recommunicate the same information? Even this podcast, because I know you're saying a lot of great things about me, but one thing I want to emphasize for the group who are listening is this idea that, yeah, sure, I communicate well, but it's not because I'm special and more important. It's because I've been on 300 podcasts, right? So the first time somebody asked me, that question, hey, Brenden, where did the idea for MasterTalk come from? Or where does the fear of public speaking come from? I don't really have a good answer to it. I don't really know. I say, yeah, so I'm in my mother's basement. Do I have to really tell? But then after the 300th time, actually, you're asking me a lot of new questions, which is awesome, very refreshing. But most of the time, it's always the same question. Brenden, I know you don't get this a lot, but how do we present in the online world? I was like, yeah, that's like every question now because it's COVID. It's like I literally answer the same question 15 times a day, literally. So when you're, and that's the beauty I want to push for people, is if you're always presenting the same thing, sure, it can be boring sometimes. Not for me because I love it, but what it allows you to do is it allows you to communicate in a super powerful way. Because now, when it's the 70th time I'm answering the question, I'm not answering it like this anymore. Well, Cindy, let me think about it. Well, if you're in the corporate boardroom, I guess you present, I don't do it, right? I just get to the punchline, right? That I figured out at version 47. That's the point. Even the best speakers in the world, everyone, still are refining their ideas. And Tony Robbins is the best example of this. Tony has been doing the same seminar for 40 years.
Wow.
He's been doing the same seminar longer than you've been alive, and definitely longer than I've been alive. And that goes to show you what it takes to be the best. But you don't even need to apply that. All you need to do is say, what's something that I care about outside of work? Is it coaching a leadership program for kids on marketing? Is it leading a team of volunteers at a nonprofit and raising a bit of money for that nonprofit that you really care about by giving a couple of classroom presentations? We don't need to make things harder than they need to be. My first keynote for MasterTalk was in front of 3 people. right? My mom, my sister, and my family. Like it's just people thought it was stupid. They just wanted to support me.
Some could say that they're the most important though, so it's not. Don't bring it down.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I meant more in the sense of they didn't. They were important people. It's just they didn't care about public speaking.
Right.
That's the point
yeah.
I want to drive. They just cared about me, and that's the point I really want to emphasize for people. Is you don't need a huge group here. You need a topic that you care about. Like MasterTalk started at 0 subscribers too. I think the first 6 months, I had like 50, 60 subs, and then after that, now it's a lot more. But it didn't start that way for sure.
Oh. So you seem like a very open person, a very approachable individual. Like you can carry on a conversation with someone new that you've met. What was there like a pivotal switch? Because for me, man, I was the most awkward, silent, smelly kid in school.
Smelly. I like that touch.
We gotta emphasize that one.
Smelly.
And I just had no confidence in myself. But I could not pinpoint what happened where I became funny and witty.
Oh, I know the
confident.
moment, man. It's when you stopped eating onions for breakfast. That's just the key. It was in that moment where you said, "Hey, wait a second. A lot of people actually like me."
Make note. Stop eating onions and
no.
breakfast. Okay.
I think you did that. You just stopped. You just forgot to realize that was the key. That was the trigger. Your wife was like,
Yeah.
"Wait a second. He doesn't smell like onions. I got to talk to this guy. I think he's a cat."
but because I used to hate getting up in front of the class, like in elementary and middle school. I used to hate talking to people. I was always in trouble because I just wasn't a happy person. No, I guess I wouldn't say unhappy. I just wasn't present. I didn't really know what was going on around me. But then when high school came, something happened, and man, I didn't care what people thought of me anymore. I guess that was the switch. But did you have a moment like that where you were like, I'm going to be confident, I'm going to put myself out there, and this is who I am now?
100%. I'll give you the secret sauce right now. So the key to relationships that most people don't understand is they kind of have it flipped over their heads. They have it upside down, I mean. So most people, Sydney, is when they think about this, they go, "Oh, Brenda, I'm at this university, I'm at this event, I'm at this networking cocktail, or whatever you want to call it, and I want to get people to like me." That approach is wrong. The better approach is rather saying, wait a second, if I live for 50 more years and I meet one new person every day, which is very optimistic, most people don't do that, I'll meet, I don't know, like 100, 200 people, let's say 100 a year. And I live for 50 more years, don't want to make this a math class, but you'll probably meet 5,000 people. So in the sea of billions of people, Sydney, billions, not millions, billions of people, you only get to meet a few thousand. So when you think about relationships, the question is not how do I get every single person to interact with me to like me, but rather saying, who are the 5,000 people that I want to meet on this journey?
Wow. That's profound.
Right.
That is really good.
And when you think about that, then the criteria you use is going to change. It's not the fact that I'm great at social skills that we get along. It's because we have the same values. Even if I don't know you, because of the effort, the email you said, hey, I really want to try for this. I'm not like this, but I'm going to put the effort. I already know I like you, right? I don't even need to talk to you. I already know. But notice how I don't vibe with everyone either. There's a lot of people that I don't particularly like because they might be selfish or they might be either not trying to help people or their community. So it's not that I'm a nice guy, but rather saying I'm just talking to the right people. So let me really nail this on the head. If you're someone out there who has an obsession with pens, you like collecting pens for some random reason, and every one of your friends doesn't understand. They're like, Brenden, why do you collect pens? This is so bizarre. My advice is instead of that trip to Cuba you're going to take that summer, where you just kind of sit in a beach and just drink pina coladas all day, what I recommend instead is use that $500, fly out to a pen collecting conference, the biggest one where all of your favorite pen collectors, all of these famous pen collectors hang out, and go to it. And I guarantee it will change your life. Because you'll go there and go, all these people nerd out about pens to go meet your tribe. Connections and relationship building is not about saying, how do I get every person to like me? But rather saying, out of the 5,000 people that I'm going to get the chance to meet in my very short life, who do I want those 5,000 people to be? And where do they hang out? And let me go pursue them.
Wow. That was, you just used the analogy of pen collecting, and you made it interesting that when you insert anything in there besides pen collecting, that's the advice. That was like the advice to give somebody.
Exactly, man. Like in my case, I've met thousands of people in my life, but the number of friends I actually have is like 5 or 6, man. But because of those five
Yeah.
or six people, they're so vetted. We're so aligned on everything. I don't really need more friends, so I can just be nice to everyone. We're a pretty happy person now, and I want that for every human being who's listening.
Wow. So real quick, I want you to summarize where you're at now in your life and career, and where you plan to be, because I hope this is okay. I would love to have you back in here like a then and there. So I'd like to take a quick moment to say where you are now, and then where you plan to be in your career, because I would like to have you back on the podcast to kind of talk about what your journey has been like, because I want to have a revolving community and kind of a repetition on my show as well. So take that as you will if you want.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So the way that I think about it, 2019, last year, I started MasterTalk. Thought it was the dumbest idea in the world. Who was going to listen to public speaking videos in some dude's mother's basement? And then a year later, it really turned into something much bigger than that. But I think the way that I think about it in general is Dale Carnegie, who's the author of the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. He's had a lot of success in his life when he was living. The only issue is he was born in the wrong time period of history. The best time to teach public speaking is now, in a way that people can learn it forever. And unfortunately for him, he could only take his knowledge and leave it in books, which is sad because he was so talented. And I get this random chance because I was born in the first world country. I became the youngest professional speech coach. It was really weird at a very young age, to the point that I was even surprised. And I see myself now, the opportunity I have today is saying, can I be the next Dale Carnegie? And I definitely think that is definitely within reach. So the ultimate goal for my life is to democratize the information, to make communication information so accessible that after I die, people can learn from me forever.
Wow, dude, that's the ultimate goal. I always tell my wife, like, the one thing I want besides to be married to her.
Oh, nice. I'm sure you have a happy
I gotta
life.
save
Then.
it.
Yeah, you're good.
Dude, my wife is so cool. But my goal in life is, I feel like it's small, but I want to be remembered. And I want to be remembered positively, not I don't want to be John Wayne Gacy kind of remembering. I want to make an impact on someone's life that they feel they want to share that with others.
Yeah.
Whether that's like, hey, this guy bought my dinner and I will always remember that. Something like that. I just want one person to remember me, because that's how you become immortal. It's kind of selfish in that when you phrase it like that, but I also think it's a beautiful thing, because like, I'm always going to remember Robin Williams. I'm always going to remember Chester Bennington. I'm always going to remember these people that had an impact on my life, and I can share their art, their music with others, and then they can also remember them. And man, you are so good, and I think we clicked so well, and I'm really happy because I was a little nervous. You're so on top of it, and I sometimes I'm just like a cluster mess.
No
But
worries, man. I'm a mess too. I'm literally talking to you on a mattress, man. Don't worry.
I love it.
So
I love it. So this is one of my favorite parts of the podcast. I sent you a link on the Discord. If you go ahead and click it,
yeah, there's like a
you'll
dice.
see some dice.
So do I press roll?
So you're gonna press on the orange dice, but not yet, because what this roll is for is this is going to be the roll about which of us becomes president, whether we want to or not.
The fuck? Sure, go for it.
So you're the guest. Just starting off, I've lost every single one of these rolls. I think it's a theme. So expect to be president. So go ahead, and you are the guest. Go ahead and click on that 20 for me.
Yeah, I clicked.
Tell me what you get.
So now I press roll.
I think if you just click the 20, it should just pop
Yeah,
up.
it gave 20.
You got a 20?
Yeah, that's what it says. I'll send you a screenshot.
Oh my gosh. I got a 19.
Oh, really?
You got
Is that for
you
real?
got the highest roll you could possibly
Is that
get.
for real?
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a natural over here.
That was so funny.
When I started this podcast, I was going to make it kind of D&D themed, where I just interview people who run their own D&D campaigns. And then I was like, it's kind of niche, and I'm interested in a lot more than just that. But what if I just bring this aspect in? And I think it's just been a blast, because now you have to be president, and thankfully I can just vote for you.
What? I don't want to be president, man. I just want to be in my mother's basement, man, and do shows. That's it.
To be fair, I kind of want a president that doesn't want to be president. So there's that.
Let's focus on making MasterTalk work then we'll have discussions about the president.
How about this? You can just write his speeches.
I can't even be president. I'm not American. I'm Canadian.
Oh, well, you're going to be the president
Prime Minister.
Yeah.
It's like a big like spoiler for those who made it to the end. Oh crap, he's not American. It like broke the game.
We broke it. The universe is not as it should be. Brenden, I really want to thank you for coming on here, but this is your time now. This is your red carpet. Please let people know how they can reach you, where you want them to go. Just give all of your socials and your videos. Just shout them out right here.
For sure, man. So the easiest way to reach out to me is definitely the YouTube channel. All you have to do is type MasterTalk in one word, and you'll find me right there. Thanks so much for having me, man.
Dude, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys for coming back to another episode of Behind the Behind. Tweeted us on Twitter at btbehind.com. If you or someone you know has a really cool story, or you guys are involved in something really interesting, please email us at btbehind@gmail.com. You can also find us recording live sometimes on Twitch, and you can find that at goodboy123. I really appreciate you guys coming out. And Brenden, thank you so much. You are a star guest, and I really appreciate you coming.
Pleasure was mine, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you guys.